This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. This is your update on Friday. It's August 27th, and we have a rapidly intensifying tropical cyclone in the Caribbean. Its name is Ida, became a tropical storm yesterday evening, and is now showing signs of some pretty rapid development. I want to show you a couple of things today in this briefing. It may take a little bit longer than usual, but this is a serious event unfolding for the residents of the Gulf Coast, particularly in Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. So I want to show you, first of all, this latest rapid scan. The GOES satellite from NOAA can go into a rapid scan mode where it can take images every minute. And this is what a rapidly intensifying hurricane looks like, or it's still a tropical storm, 65-mile-per-hour winds as of the 11 o'clock a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. But you can see this is a combination of the GOES visible channel and also the GLM, the Global Lightning Mapper. So we can see lightning flashes from 22,300 miles up in space and superimpose that on this imagery. And this is pretty spectacular. You can see a lot of flashes around the center of the storm. That means that a lot of convection is happening. Thunderstorms is the word for convection. And looks like we have a lot going on. So we're going to be monitoring that very, very closely. Again, this is from NOAA and the folks at University of Colorado up in Fort Collins. So I want to show you GeoCollaborate and what it looks like. And we're going to go through a couple of data sets here that I want to show you. And I have a number of things turned on right now. First of all, the state of Louisiana is red. And you can see that it's red here. I'm just going to show my cursor. You can see that it's red because the governor has declared a state of emergency. And that means that all sorts of things can kick into gear, and they can alert the federal government that they may be applying for federal disaster assistance. I'm going to zoom down here a little bit closer into the main part of where Ida is currently located, and that is close to Grand Cayman, south of Cuba. And you can see the wind field here that is starting to expand. The yellow area is the area of tropical storm force winds. The government of Cuba has issued a tropical storm warning for the western tip of Cuba as the storm approaches. But you can see here that it's expected to make landfall in western Cuba as a Category 1 hurricane. Matter of fact, as we dive down in here a little bit, I can show you some radar data from Grand Cayman and what that looks like. So this is courtesy of Brian McNulty at the University of Miami, the Erasmus School. And this is the developing tropical storm as it starts to mature a little bit more as it moves by the radar and by Grand Cayman. So this is, you can see the circulation. You can see somewhat of an eye starting to develop before it gets too close to the islands of Cuba there. And this is all indications that the storm is getting more organized, and a little bit less shear in the atmosphere is influencing the storm. There was a trough over the Yucatan Peninsula that is now weakening and moving away. So the environment in which Ida is moving is much more conducive to development. So I want to go back to GeoCollaborate and show you that area of tropical storm force winds. The National Hurricane Center is making a point that this area will be increasing in size, particularly as Ida gets into the Gulf of Mexico. So I want to now move a little bit further to the north here, and you can see it emerges pretty much unscathed, because if it's starting to intensify and intensify rapidly, and then it encounters the western tip of Cuba, probably not going to have that much of an impact on the intensity of the storm. And so you can see by tomorrow morning, it's Category 1, almost Category 2. And then by afternoon tomorrow, it has winds of gusting to 120 miles per hour as a Category 2, which is about 105 miles an hour here. And then Category 3 before way before making landfall. This period within this area, and let me just widen out a little bit here on GeoCollaborate. This area here, when it goes from, and I'll back out just a little bit more, from a category 1 here to a category 3, and this is from 8 a.m. Saturday to 8 a.m. Sunday. So we're talking about jumping 2 categories in a 24-hour period of time. Folks, we call that rapid intensification. And we have that happening because the conditions are very, very favorable. As a matter of fact, I want to turn on another data layer here that I've added that's just a temporary, and that is the sea surface temperature data. And hold on one second. Let me just see if I can find it here. Oh, here we go. This is a high-resolution sea surface temperature data. And I'll back out a little bit more so you can see what's going on here. This is where Ida is currently located. Look how warm the sea surface temperatures are. And not only are they warm between 85 and 90 degrees, they're warm at depth. So as you go down 10, 20, 30 meters deep, it's still very, very warm. So what that means is when Ida moves over those sea surface temperatures, the warm ocean waters, it's not really going to be able to churn up enough cold water to help it to stop intensifying so rapidly. So we have a very, very hot Gulf of Mexico. It's almost like having high test gasoline that you want to put into your car. And so that's what's not going to inhibit the storm. It's going to encourage it to strengthen pretty rapidly. And what I've also turned on here, and let me just go back to this to get a little broader view, are the expected arrival times for tropical storm force winds. This is from the 11 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center. And it looks like by Sunday morning, Louisiana should start to see an increase in tropical storm force winds. It will get stormy beforehand. As a matter of fact, there's a tropical wave going through parts of Louisiana right now, southeast Louisiana, kicking off showers and heavy thunderstorms today. So that's just a tropical wave, but it's certainly going to hamper some of the activities to get ready in preparation for landfall of Ida. So by Sunday evening at 8 p.m., tropical storm force winds should have overtaken New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and headed on up into the state. But also in Mississippi and Alabama, since you're on the right-hand side of the storm, there's also going to be some significant storm surge issues. And the National Hurricane Center is issuing storm surge watches, and they have storm surge predictions. I will cover those in a later update. But you can see as Ida moves further into the Gulf, the wind field will spread out, and the arrival of tropical storm force winds should happen Sunday morning. Now, I'm going to turn off the sea surface temperature data here and just focus in on the storm just for a moment. Because with the current area that Ida is expected to make landfall, anywhere to the right here is going to be prime area for big storm surge. The Hurricane Center has storm surge watches in effect for this entire area. And we're going to have to watch this very, very closely because storm surge in southeast Louisiana do not go well together. The land is very low. A lot of it is very swampy. And we know that in New Orleans, we have the levees that are in place. All but 1 or 2 of the pumps in downtown New Orleans are primed and ready to go for pumping out water. New Orleans can handle about a ½ inch of rain per hour once it starts raining. And those rainfall rates could be pretty significant. As a matter of fact, I will turn off the track here for a second from the hurricane when the tropical storm forced winds are expected to arrive. So I'm going to turn that off because I want to turn on the amount of rain that's predicted by the Weather Prediction Center. And this is over the course of 7 days. Okay, so what you're going to see here is, oops, let me just go and turn it on over here. What you're going to see is the expected rainfall from the Weather Prediction Center in Louisiana and along the track of the storm. So what you see here is Louisiana, and I can change the transparency here to let this show a little bit through, a little bit more. What this shows is that southeast Louisiana is expected to get anywhere from 15 inches of rain down to, in northern part of Louisiana, we're talking about 5 inches here. So 5 to 15 inches of rain as Ida comes ashore in a relatively short period of time. No pumps in New Orleans are going to be able to handle that kind of rain. So if this comes to fruition, we should expect major flooding in downtown New Orleans, inside of the levees. But the pumps should be working overtime to evacuate that water. Officials are looking at their evacuation plans right now, and we're going to keep you posted on what actually is determined and decided by the officials in Louisiana. But there is a major amount of rain that is expected in southeast Louisiana as Ida comes ashore. Now, one other thing that I want to mention as well is that the path of Ida takes a curve towards the northeast to move over central Mississippi and southern Tennessee. Now, we all know of the major floods that happened in Waverly, Tennessee last weekend, where they received 17 inches of rain. 20 people were killed, and the town is in utter ruins because of the flood. It looks like from the Weather Prediction Center that they could get anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of rain out of Ida. Now, these forecasts will be updated as time goes on, but again, there's a significant amount of rain that's expected along the track of Ida, and Ida is forecast to be a major hurricane at landfall. Some indications are that the storm could be even more intense than a Category 3 storm. The official forecast from the Hurricane Center is Category 3, but the storm has a rapidly intensifying posture to it, meaning that there's not much in the way that's going to inhibit its intensification. We'll be doing more updates during the day, maybe one this afternoon about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock Eastern. If you have any questions, feel free to submit them in the YouTube channel. We'll be happy to answer them as best we can. And we'll be putting more information into GeoCollaborate for the Fleet Response Working Group because this update is for that SICE organization and for the movement of fleet utility vehicles to position themselves when mutual assistance gets called. So those utility crews can get into these areas and restore power very quickly. A lot of utilities are coming off the heels of Tropical Storm Henri that made landfall last weekend in the northeast U.S. This one could have a much broader impact because of an expanding wind field and forecast of a major hurricane to hit at this angle in southeast Louisiana. So I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and the Fleet Response Working Group Sensitive Information Sharing Environment. This has been an update based on the 11 a.m. National Hurricane Center update, and Hurricane Hunter aircraft are flying into the storm today. They will be constantly until the storm makes landfall between the P-3s that NOAA has, the Gulfstream 4 that's going to fly around the environment of Ida, and also the 53rd Weather Squadron from the U.S. Air Force. They have 10 aircraft. Some of them are flying into tropical storm and Hurricane Nora off the west coast because it impacts Baja. Is forecast impact Baja, California. But a lot of those planes will be flying into this one. This is a serious situation, and we're going to be monitoring it for you throughout the entire time. Thanks for watching. Expect the next update probably around 6 o'clock this afternoon.